the criteria Latifi needs to do to get re-signed, not get last. Oh, Spar's back, and lights out, and away we go. And Lewis Hamilton is halfway to space.
Personally, go IndyCar over Williams.
Yeah, Grosjean Zhu?
Guan Yu
Zhou.
Guan
Yu Zhou. No,
Zhou
Zhou
Guan
Guan
Yu.
Yu. I said that the first time. George was already sitting in that seat.
Look, I don't agree with it, but you've asked a question. I'm trying to find a way to justify
And I'm just
it.
trying to absolutely tear your answer apart.
G'day and welcome to Formula Bums. My name is Jacko, and with me, as always, is my friend Andy.
I'm a friend this week, am I?
What did I say last week? Well, I think you were
I've been
last
your
week.
nemesis for like the last month and a bit.
Yeah, well, you get what you fucking deserve. So,
It's fair.
we're here to review the Belgian Grand Prix, or as I like to call it, Spa Grand Prix.
Or as I like to call it, Max wins everything.
Okay, so you've brought that up nice and early. I've separated my notes for the race itself into two phases. Before and after Max takes the lead, you'll notice there's two very distinct things. My notes in the first half are very excited, and my notes at the end are just kind of like two or three overtakes that are like, well, that was kind of cool in position 16th.
I sort of fell asleep on lap 33.
I didn't even attempt to watch it live this time. I just cut my losses. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get a good night's sleep because I'm only going to make it past the intro song. Maybe. So I skipped that, and then I watched a lot of it over the weekend. So I have heaps of things to talk about, Andy. But do you want to do the news first?
Yeah, because there's some big news.
Yeah, you've been sending me heaps lately. Like a lot's been going on.
So basically, Alpine exploded.
Yes,
Or
off the track
imploded.
this time, not on the track.
Yeah, they imploded. So Otmar's been let go. Alan Permain has been let go. And Pat Fry is leaving to go to another team.
Didn't we say the other week that another one of their people had left or stepped aside right at the top?
Laurent Rossi is also left.
Yeah, so that's like pretty much everyone from the very, very top of the F1 program to the team principal, etc., have all been let go. So it's a complete change in management.
Big time.
I don't know if you've heard any rumors of who will be replacing him, but I'd
I
start
know.
a rumor.
You want to start a rumor?
First? Yes, it's Mattia Binotto.
Guess who's the big rumor that's replacing him?
Is it Mattia Binotto?
It's Mattia Binotto's been rumored to be.
Oh, damn it. I thought I was being controversial. Fine. Fuck it, Ross Brawn.
Oh, fucking hell, he won't take over. If Mattia takes over, though, it's he wants full control, which I don't see Alpine ever giving anyone ever because Otmar didn't have it.
I wouldn't even let him control my fucking microwave at this point, dude. I don't blame them. I get not giving any team principal at Alpine. It's a French thing. I don't know if you're aware. They're kind of control freaks, but that's also why I have so much respect for them.
I'm surprised there wasn't a riot after they let them go.
They might be. We don't know.
There's some more about this too that I think's kind of important. Do you remember who was the advisor for Renault and Alpine up until about last year?
Yeah, Alain Prost.
Yeah, he has come out with a scathing attack on Laurent Rossi, calling him incompetent as a CEO. And has just blasted Renault for everything since they've returned in 2015.
So, you know what? I know Alain Prost is a 2-time world champion, I think.
4-time.
4-time. That's pretty good. I know he's been with the team since forever. Like, that's his baby, and he's French. So, I can get his scathing review because I understand not seeing them at absolute perfection. But I also can't go out and say, like, it's been a complete and utter failure since they've come back. It's been a lot of missteps. It's been more bad than good. But year on year, they've gotten better. Like, you know what I mean? You can't say they're worse now than they were at any point Like, I think they've gotten better. Yeah, well, to be fair, you can say that about anything.
Well, let's just take a deep dive into what's happened at Renault Alpine in the last, let's say, 12 months. So last year they lost a two-time world champion and an elite driver in Fernando Alonso to a team that was at the back of the grid.
Yep.
They then had an up-and-coming rookie turn around and say, no, I have not agreed to drive for this team. I won't be driving for this team, and leave for McLaren, who is now at the front of the grid.
You know, so when you said right at the start of this information and you said, do you remember? I can now answer that and say, no, I completely forgot about all of that drama at the end, midway through last year. So you do make a very valid point, and I know you're not finished.
Well, no, those are the two big ones, but also they've got another Aussie in the pipeline in Jackie Doohan, who, for all intents and purposes, has done, not as good as he had been this year.
Yeah,
he has got wins, but it's not been what we expected.
It's been up and down.
Jackie.
He's not in the... I guess he's not in the regular conversation of title contender this year. That's pretty much split between like Theo Porcher and Hauger, maybe. I don't know. What another one of them. I forget. But yeah, he was really, really good the last few years. This year he's a bit up and down. So, but also I think that's a good thing because it means he can stay in the sport a bit longer. There's no room in F1 really at the moment.
No, there's not, especially if you're following through the Alpine Academy and going into Alpine.
Exactly. Throw the game for a couple of years, Jackie, and wait for some space at the top.
But Alpine looks like it's been nothing but a dumpster fire for the last year, and the car hasn't improved. Let's be real. They're currently languishing in 5th at the moment in the constructors.
Yeah, you know what? I guess they've just been consistently subpar for long enough that I glance over them now because other teams, performance-wise, have been far more exaggerated. Like Ferrari's had significant ups and downs. The Aston Martin has turned around completely. The AlphaTauri, which was very, very strong in the last generation, is very, you know what I mean? I've kind of, performance-wise, they're sub-mediocre, which is about where they've always been. I think the movement around them has covered them a little bit. But you make a fair point.
I'm looking at the current Constructors' Championship. They're in 6th on 57 points. Guess what 5th's in? How many points 5th has?
I'm going to say like 160 or something.
They're on 103 points, and it's McLaren.
Yeah, and McLaren's on the up and up too. They're only going to get more points.
Exactly. So can we really say Alpine is having a successful year based on that knowledge?
No, I think you're right. But weirdly enough, I think this is fantastic to actually see in the sport for once. For so long, we go, you know what would really just fix this team? Clear them out top to bottom. Get new people in there. We say it about Ferrari. We've said it about every team at some point. I guess if you are a fan, you've said it about every team at some point. But you know what I mean? Like, it's nice to finally see someone go, you know what? This clearly isn't working. Let's do it again. So I have respect for it. Like, yeah, it's rough that they all lost their jobs, but millionaires, whatever. Sucked in.
There is one more thing I want to talk about, and that's what Otmar said on his way out after the Belgian Grand Prix.
I miss Danny Rick.
I mean, he never worked with Danny Rick.
Yeah, but, you know, I've never worked with Danny Rick, and I missed him too, so...
Well, that's fair, but
it's a good point, eh?
He said this in regards to his sacking. In reality, it takes time. You can't get 9 girls pregnant and expect a baby 1 month later. I signed some good people from other teams, but they're still stuck in their contracts and won't come until for the next 2 years. That was what Otmar said. He wanted more time to see if he could get more out of the Enstone team, but he just wasn't given it.
Yeah, I can get it. I get it. I just want to point out that's a fucking weird analogy he went with, though. I'm not letting you pass over it. That's weird.
But it's true, though. You don't expect to get a girl pregnant and a baby pop out 1 month later after you
No, I know
knocked
that.
up 9.
He's correct. It's just an odd thing for a Formula One team principal to reach to after he's been fired.
I know, but
But yeah, that's what's so hard in all sport when you're like a footy manager or a football coach or anything like that is everything takes about 2 or 3 years longer than what your boss above you thinks it should. And that's in every job. Unfortunately, this is just a very high stress job where it's an unequivocal fact that it takes years to make a good car. Only 2 teams in the last 15 years of the sport have ever made a good car.
Red Bull and Mercedes.
Yeah. So like it does take time, so it is a bit rough, but whatever.
Also,
you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but there's another thing too. So
Stop
obviously,
saying there's another thing.
Well, there is. Renault had their 100 race plan, and Otmar only managed 33 races before he got sacked. You know what I mean? He was notified just before his 34th race. That's only just over a third of your 100 race plan that you were allowed to implement.
It's a third. It's not great. Can the next person come in, Mattia, and finish it? Probably not. Could anyone else come in and take the plan forward? Yeah, probably. But what's the next thing? Before I say anything stupid.
Where do we see Renault and Alpine going now? Do we see the French kicking up a stink in a year or two and selling the team? Or do they stick it out? What's going to happen? Or what do you think could happen?
In any case, I don't want Alpine to leave the sport. I don't want to see any teams leave the sport. I only want to see it grow for the next couple of years. Which it is. So yeah, it would be terrifying, or it'd be terrible to say like we're bringing in these new teams and now one that is quite established historically in many different forms is leaving the sport again. I think they'll stick around, man. They've made a very bold decision. I don't think it will get worse than it is. The only reason they've made this call is because they feel confident with who they're bringing in to replace every single person. This isn't like you're firing a very, very low on the rung worker who can be replaced, like an entry-level position. Even though there's a skill set, you can get rid of one before you bring someone on. It's not normally done at a massive level like that where your whole structure's gone. It says to me they're bringing people on and they believe it's going to be fine. So I think they'll stay.
Fair enough. Fuck them, sell them to Andretti. Give them a shot.
I want to see Andretti come in too, man. But,
maybe
there's
not that way. There's a prominent American team principal now on the market for Andretti.
Yeah, true.
Could they snap up Otmar and get into the sport somehow?
Yeah, I mean, it would be the smartest choice you could do because I quite like Otmar. I mean, I know we've put some shit on him before, but I don't think he's a bad team principal. He seems to have done
money.
And he also seemed to be doing acceptable-ish wherever he goes. Like Racing Point was never horrific. It was never great.
One car was.
Yeah, but wait, we'll get into that. I've got some notes about him. All right, let's leave that part there. Have we got any other big news, or shall we talk about some racing?
Just has like 4 weeks until next race, which is a bit shit.
Yeah, it is. But it's also such a fun time for development and the teams to get...
But they don't develop anything. They're shut down for the next 4 weeks. They're not allowed to develop. I don't think you've ever got that through your head. You always said there's more development, but they're not allowed to work on the cars.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I can't disagree with you, bro. Yes. So in that case, yeah, it is a bit of a bummer. But whatever. Hey, we're going to take a little bit of a break off. We're going to talk about F2, which is fun for a change. Speaking of which, we've got a lot of F2 to watch, Andy.
We do.
It's been a very exciting year. I've watched some races.
I watched one race.
Was that Spa?
It was the first race.
The first race. The first race was pretty good, though.
Yeah, it was.
They're always pretty good.
But anyway,
all right.
Let's talk about actual racing.
Okay, so how much did you watch this weekend?
I watched the sprint race and the race. Oh, at least
Excellent.
33 laps of the race. And I fell asleep.
Okay. Well, I watched pretty much everything. So,
So I fell asleep on lap 33 and I woke up to the Dutch national anthem and I went, oh, nothing changed.
yeah, so that's me every other Sunday except for that one that happened. Except it's more like lap 2. So Thursday, they interviewed all the drivers coming in, and every driver but one was excited for the weekend. Can you guess who wasn't excited?
Max or Lewis?
No. Lance. Lance was like, they're like, so you happy to be in Spa? He's like, oh, it's going to be a really big challenge. Every other driver was like, yeah, I love Spa, but this weekend's going to be difficult. It was just interesting. He was the only one who didn't say he loved it. And that's pretty much it. That's the only interesting bit from there, because everyone else was just like, yeah, it's going to be a busy weekend. There's a lot of work to do. Even Max was like, yeah, we're going to be pretty flat out. You know, there's no, it could be difficult. If we get the setup wrong, we're not going to be competitive. And I was like, whatever, dude. Like, you win everything. That's not an option. FP1, very exciting. The whole weekend, weather dependent. I loved it.
But yeah, every news I seen was just like, oh, we might get racing.
Yeah. There was still a good chunk of racing. So Sargent red flagged the session, probably about quarter of the way in. Aquaplaned and just into the gravel and the wall. Not too massive damage, but it took some time out. And then after that, pretty much everybody who did go out went off at some point, because Joe went off, Pierre went off. Both Astons came out for a siding lap, and then we're just like, yep, no, we're not racing in this. We're going back.
Yeah.
Science was the fastest, but like 8 people ran. And that's when they also spoke about Max getting new gearbox components.
Yeah, because he
the fireplace
ended up
penalty.
Not that it did anything. Should have given him a fucking 1 lap penalty.
I don't even then. Really? Like, even then.
It would have made the race exciting for at least 33 laps. Maybe I would have stayed awake for it.
Yeah, it would have made it slightly better. I was really confused this weekend because I completely forgot the whole sprint structure. So after FP1, we had qualifying for the Grand Prix. So, and Lando cracked his wing early on, and that kind of put him down low. Danny had a really good Q1, and then they deleted his lap.
I did say that he would have won Q2.
Yeah. And it was so disappointing, man. I watched it, I was like, yeah. And then it was like lap deleted. I was like, no. What the hell? And then I looked at it, and it was very minor. It was up through Radion, I think. Or Pouon.
I think he said he was trying to go flat out through Eau Rouge and just knocked it off at Radion.
Yep.
Which makes sense.
And then after that, Hulk, DR, Sargent, Zhou, and Albon. That's from 20th to 15th.
Yeah.
So both
suspects.
Williams are out. Yeah. Which is interesting, though, because apparently the Williams is 20 kilometres quicker on the straights than any other car this year, but it's significantly worse in the corners than any other car this year.
Of course, it's because it has no downforce.
Yeah, but it was weirdly enough, during race conditions, very good for them overall this weekend. They performed quite well.
Albon
Sargent
definitely did.
Yeah, Sargent, up and down at times. Q2, Ocon crashed.
Everyone loved that.
Yep, it was pretty funny. Oscar, fucking Q2 on fire. Oscar Piastri had such a fantastic weekend up until the race, and then he broke my heart.
You mean turn 1?
Yep. Yeah, that's, the race began. Anyway, I don't talk about it. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Then, Max, there was this whole thing, Max could be out, he's sitting in 11th or whatever number you
fuck off.
Yeah.
Fuck off, he's getting knocked out.
But here's the thing, Gasly and Magnussen had a chance, but Magnussen crashed on his lap. So and Gasly was just slow. So I'm more annoyed at Gasly than Magnussen, but I'm also annoyed at Magnussen. And then, in the pits, Max was a little bit antsy on the radio, and his engineer sounded a little bit terse back. So I think they're going to be very happy for a couple of weeks off, because I think they just need a break from each other. They're an old married couple at this point.
They were pretty bad during the race too.
Yeah. It was I think you can tell why they're ready for a break. And then Ocon, Bottas, Magnussen, Gasly, and Tsunoda were out.
Once again, usual suspects.
Yep. Q3 was good. Oscar out-qualifies Norris.
You like that?
Everybody.
No.
Everybody who's
McLaren
patriotic.
didn't like it.
Well, fuck them. So, because Oscar's coming for the lead driver position. Max got P1 though. So.
Are you shocked?
No. I was disappointed. And then it was
I
Leclerc,
was more
Perez.
shocked at who got second. Leclerc putting
Oscar.
a lap together. No,
Oh,
Leclerc
yeah.
putting a
Leclerc.
lap together.
Yeah. Yeah. Perez, Hamilton, Sainz, Piastri, Norris, Russell, Alonso, and Stroll. So even though the Astons aren't as quick, they're still hanging around the points.
Yeah, but not as good as what we thought they would be.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sort of, the development seems to have slowed down there. It seems.
Yeah. And this mid-season break's not going to help. See, they are remembered.
Yeah, there you go. Finally.
Yeah,
It's only taken
finally
you a
got
year and a half.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll forget by next year. It'll be
Exactly.
gone. It'll be gone. And that was quali. It was go up.
But that
Max-
was only quali for the Sunday race. It wasn't quali for the sprint.
No, because then we had the sprint shootout.
Which, why bother?
It was okay. It was okay.
Why can't it just be quali for the sprint and then sprint sets the grid for Sunday? And you still give the points out the way you did?
I don't know. I like that idea better. The only reason I think I enjoyed it this weekend because there's some funny things in here that I'd like to bring up. I don't know if you're aware of some of them.
No, I didn't watch it.
Oh, okay, cool. So you'll enjoy some of these then. So disappointingly, Hulkenberg gets sent out too late, doesn't put a time in at all. So he's just straight out.
Classic Haas.
Yeah, and then Zoe, Magnussen, Bottas, and Tsunoda. So classic suspects. Q2. Everyone's going around. I think there was a little bit, the track was drying at this point. So a lot of people were just waiting as the time ticked down. One of those young men was Lance Stroll, and then he's on the radio saying, "We've gone too early. I can't warm my tyres up." He sooks on the radio for half a lap. And then he crashes, which is funny. And then you look at the fact that there's only 45 seconds to go, and there's about 5 drivers who haven't put a lap in yet.
Including George Russell, wasn't it?
It was Alonso, Sargent, Albon, and Danny.
Oh, really?
They're all eliminated, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, Danny put a time in. It was just a really shit time.
Yeah, and
It
he was on his
Albon,
out
Sargent.
for
Albon,
another
Sargent,
one.
Alonso, and Stroll didn't set a time in the sprint.
Yeah, they didn't set one, but Danny was also out.
Hmm.
Then in 3, Max only just made it over the line to start his lap.
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting to see with like timing, because that track evolution the whole time essentially meant that the later you left it, the better your performance would be. And we're talking about seconds here. Some of these ones, like the banker laps were 2 or 3 seconds slower than the end of quali, that section's times. So that was a very interesting part of this weekend. So you saw a lot of risk, Max included, involved in it, which again, not necessary, man. You're still that much quicker than everyone else.
He could have put full wet time in quicker than everyone else.
Yep. But what was good about Q3 here in the sprint shootout was that because the track improved so much, every single car on the top 10 got to do a 1 lap right at the end. So it was an actual top 10 shootout. So that made it very, very fun to watch, because everyone's times were that much slower on the lead lap. So it was going to be very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Piastri was the king of the middle sector all weekend. Like every qualifying session, he had the purple sector for the middle section.
Mm-hmm.
Did it again, puts it on pole. Max beats him by 11 thousandths of a second.
Fuck. That's a big... Didn't Max also beat Charles in qualifying by like 0.8 of a second?
Yes. It was very
That's-
close both.
That's a rocket ship. No, 8/10 of a second, way bigger than a 1/100th of a second, which is what this was.
The Charles one was 8/10, but he's done some people by a second this year.
Mm.
So, yes, 8/10 is long in F1 time. The 11,000s is very, very close, but second-wise, still closer than it's normally been.
That's fair.
Then we had the sprint race, which was 11 laps.
Was meant to be 15.
It was.
But Mother
rain.
Nature said no.
Yep, rain. Did make it a pretty interesting 11 laps, though.
Definitely.
So, first lap, half the cars pit, the other half don't.
Max being one of the ones who doesn't.
Yep, Oscar being one of the ones who does.
But it made sense. So, you understood why Max didn't pit.
I'm assuming because he thought he could put more distance. He
No.
would be quicker. No? Because they were going from wets to inters, weren't they?
They were, but the idea is Max was the first pit bay, so no matter what, he was going to get stuck behind cars, which would have given him bad track position. So
He
doing
would have
the
been
extra
dive
lap,
bombed left and right.
exactly. So he did the extra lap to get a bit of distance to get himself in and out before a car held him in the pits, which meant Oscar led a lap.
Yeah, Oscar did lead. He led.
I think it was 3 laps, maybe 4.
No, more. It was lap 5. It was off the restart.
Okay.
There was a restart because Alonso
Fernando
just had a
said
classic
no.
spin. Yeah, Alonso was just like, I hate sprint races, and just sent it into the barriers. He's just, I'm done. So he took it out, and then that was on turn 11. I can't remember what lap it was. I think it was on that lap. Yeah, there was at that lap. I think he crashed on, and then lap 5 there's a restart. Max just on the Kemmel straight, just full
Like a rocket
open
ship.
the whole way. Yeah, just goes past him. Then that's it. That's the race over there. But there's more interesting things that happened because Hamilton got close to a Red Bull, so that meant he punted it off the side of the track for a little bit and smashed the shit out of Sergio's car.
Which meant Sergio retired from the sprint race.
Which is he did fight for a couple of laps.
But
and then
there was no point staying out there.
Yeah, no, and then on lap 7 he went straight into the gravel. And I don't think, on the highlight replay that I watched, the commentators, I don't think they noticed the gaping hole because they were like...
No, they didn't.
Okay, cool, because they're like, he seems to be really struggling. It was a massive, obvious gash in the side of his car.
Yeah, they didn't know, even after he pitted, they were still wondering why he was retired, and it was because of the gaping hole you see, and if you just looked at the camera.
Yeah, it was
just look
right
at your
there.
screen, you'd see the big-ass hole in it.
Yep, but here's my note for that. Classic Hamilton. That was it.
Yeah.
Just yep, there's a Red Bull. There's someone getting smashed.
And he got a 5-second penalty for it, which was deserved.
Yes, very well deserved. DR got up to 8th, but Russell snagged him in the end. And then
Ruining
it was a good podium,
everyone's day.
though.
Also,
It was a good podium.
Ocon got him at the end too.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that, but
No one does.
Max, Piastri and Gasly were on the podium, and I thought that was a nice podium to see.
And Pierre was really loving it, especially after the turmoil at Alpine.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was good for them. And then we had the big race. The big boy race. 44 laps.
Do you want to just talk about turn 1, get it over and done with?
Okay. So, on my initial watch, I called signs some very bad names.
Science didn't deserve that.
And then on watching the replay, I realized that Oscar I get it. I understand what Oscar was going for, but he was too far back and he got squeezed, and Oscar just took the front wing into the wall.
And broke his rear suspension.
Oh, and broke his rear suspension. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah,
That actually
that's why he
explains
was.
it.
That's why
So
he was
bad.
so slow going up the hill. It was just he's
Yeah.
cooked his car.
He's dragging the car up the hill. So, yeah.
And then
Big
classic
damage.
Ferrari, Carlos probably shouldn't have stayed in too because he also plummeted and Ferrari's just
bro.
like, you can stay out there. You can fight.
Yeah, no, go on, man. Why are you falling backwards? He's like, my car. Anyway, what annoyed me about that is Hamilton was on the outside of Sainz. Sainz, just hit him
I know, right?
and let Oscar through because Oscar would have come second.
Science did. No, he wouldn't have. That McLaren was terrible during the race, and you know it.
Yeah, but let him in and dream. Anyway,
Yeah, McLaren sucked during the race. That the only time they were good was when there was a bit of wet rain on the track, but that was only for 5 laps, and then it dried up, and Lando just started slipping off the pace again.
I was so annoyed when that rain came because it looked like it was going to rain pretty good. Like there was shots of like them leaning out in proper rain. I'm like, oh, this is going to get good. Like make them change to inters, maybe go wets for like the last 15, 20 laps. Anything. And then it rained for about 5 minutes, and all the people who came into the pit, it was like, oh, is it inters? And it was no, everyone put on softs and just kept going faster.
Yeah.
Like that was it. Perez got the lead though early on.
He did.
So that was nice for a little while. See, he seems to be back in form a little bit.
Well, let's be real. It's not he's back in form. It's he now knows his place.
Okay.
Let's be real. That's what it is. He knows his place. He knows he's not winning.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough. And also, scoreboard-wise, potato. He's back getting points where he should be. Verstappen, on the first lap, got up to 4th from 5th. So,
6th.
6th. Yeah, I'm good with numbers, man. But yeah, he got up there. I'm getting better. That's the thing, man. I'm always improving. I've remembered 2 things this episode. Lots of passes, though.
Do you remember the blue car at the back of the field?
Sargent.
Well, I was going to say Williams in general, because you always forget Williams.
No, I've been good with Williams this year, remember? I'm doing well with Williams. I've even got notes about them. There was good passing, though, all race. But there was... So, even though the race was wrapped up on lap 17... Still things going on. So Alonso had a good one. Albon had a couple of good ones. Stroll had a good one as well. Norris was dropping back at this point, as you mentioned.
He did well to stay in 7th, though. Let's be real.
He did.
Considering what was happening with that car.
Yeah, no, very valid point. Verstappen was up to 3rd on lap 6. So, very quickly closing in.
Yeah. He didn't get Sergio until after the pit stop, though.
No, I know that. Like, it was interesting because on lap 9 he gets Leclerc, so that means he's 2nd, and then
he just
takes
sort of hung there.
Yeah, it took him till lap 17 for him to take the lead,
and it was after the first round of pit stops. And when he took the lead, it was a fucking gnarly pass to begin with. But yeah, it was just like, oh well, there's the race done. See you next. I'll see you in Netherlands when he leads every single lap and gets the fastest lap.
Yep. And we've already spoken about the rain, but Max took the lead before the rain began. So that's how early in the race Max got the lead, because the rain began on lap 19. It sprinkled, and then it got worse from there for about 5 laps. Interestingly, though, lap 21, Max nearly lost it.
Yeah, true. I do remember that.
Yeah. That's... as much as I love him, it would have really livened things up a bit, I think.
I feel like there should just be a ticking time bomb in his engine that is just programmed to go off at some point in the next 5 races.
So what you're saying is your favourite Red Bull spec was the start of last year's?
No, my favourite one was the one when Danny Rick last drove for him, where the engine would just blow up every now and then.
Yeah, he had it was either 6 or 9 mechanical errors retirements towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
It was insane. We already, as I said, we already spoke about the rain. It was like a will they, won't they inters, and then that never happened. Ocon did that really cool pass on Yuki Tsunoda.
I don't remember that.
Oh, this was, I can't remember exactly which turn it was. I think it was might have actually been Pouon maybe, or it was in some of the bends down the hill after the Kemmel Straight. And Yuki was halfway around one of the sweepers, and Ocon just slides up the inside and perfectly cuts a line into the next one, which makes Yuki have to take it a little bit wide. It was just really well done.
Okay, you're going to give him some credit for that. Fair enough.
Yes, because now I'm about to dunk on him, because I don't know if Crofty and Brundle mentioned it.
Probably not, let's be real.
But the YouTube commentary team, Alex Jakes and Alex Brundle,
the good ones,
mentioned that, Ocon and Stroll are very good friends off the track. which I thought was hilarious because, of course, they are. It's the two that nobody else likes.
What do you mean? Fernando likes one.
No, he even said, he goes, they only play him on nice radio messages. We know he hates him. He's admitted that he does. That's as close as you can come without actually being allowed to say it.
That's fair.
So, there's that. And then the race is over. Nothing really happens until the end.
I got one thing that happened. It was the spousal abuse that GP got throughout the race.
Okay.
Throughout the race, every radio message that came on with Max, it just seemed like GP was going to have an aneurysm telling him to just fucking listen to him for once.
Yeah, okay.
The words, trust me, came out when Max was having a sook.
Max was off this weekend, and do you know why I think he was so off?
Yoss was there.
Yeah. Genuinely, I think, we know Joss is an arsehole. He's like a professional piece of shit.
Mm.
Do you reckon that was enough to throw him off a little bit?
No.
Make him a bit antsy on the radio, especially with the weather adding the extra stress?
Well, there was one point after he was, 40 seconds in the lead. He comes on, he's like, GP's like, I think you've overcooked the front tyre, you need to ease up. And he goes, well, why don't I just push and give you some pit stop practice?
Yeah, he's been a shit this weekend, wasn't he?
He was being a bit of a shit. The cockiness was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's got to. I still think it has to be Yoss because that's what he does to Max, I reckon, which is a shame. But I still thought it was a good weekend of racing. There was enough going on that even though it was a boring result, the weekend was still fun to watch.
Well, I mean, Ferrari didn't fuck it up for once. With Charles, at least.
Yeah, I know. He got he got two podiums, didn't he?
No, he got one podium.
One podium.
Yeah,
he got a podium in the race. Came third.
And he got a pole position.
Yeah, strange, man. Good on him, though. Really good.
Do you think it's because they sacked old mate Micus?
Well, there's nothing else that's changed on the team, so I mean, if the shoe fits, it's probably them. Yeah. Yeah, probably. Danny, disappointing weekend from Danny. Just the car really wasn't there. And then when it was there, he just stepped out of line.
Yeah, but it's expected with the AlphaTauri. Like, you can't expect him to come up and do what Sonoda's doing. Sonoda's had a bunch more races practice in a shit box than Danny has.
Oh, exactly. It was a little bit sad to see him kind of... It was exciting when he did that good lap, and you know what I mean? It showed that he can very nearly have it all together second race in. But yeah, I think he'd be a little bit disappointed, not at himself, but just being like, damn, that really wasn't as cool as I thought I was going to be.
I doubt that, because if you look at Danny's expressions these days, he looks a lot happier than he was 12 months ago, that's for sure. They did a side-by-side of what he looked like in qualifying last year and this year, and he looked depressed as last year, and this year he's still got a big smile.
Yeah, valid point, man. It must just feel good. It must just feel good to be back in the car.
Yeah, I reckon he's just enjoying it now, and he's just learning with the car. I mean, Horner and Marco have said if he's coming back, it's 2025. So if we put 2 and 2 together, maybe he's at AlphaTauri again next year. Do you reckon?
I can't see him going anywhere else next year if they've already said 2025. Checo will probably do one more then.
But then
I
also
can see
it's
next
Red
year
Bull.
being his last. Yeah,
It's
Checo
also
could
Red
also
Bull.
do one more race. We don't know.
Exactly.
It could be next week. I did start seeing memes about him getting replaced at the Mexican Grand Prix, and that was very funny.
Well, I just seen the meme of just old mate throwing drivers in the bin. It's just like all the ex-Red Bull drivers, and it's like, oh, you're next, and it's Checo getting thrown in.
Yeah, well, he is next. He had the classic Andy, I don't want to play with you anymore from Toy Story. Just So, team by team, anyone in particular want to talk about?
There wasn't really much to talk about. Like, Fernando had that really good pit stop, which got him to 5th. Like, let's be real.
Yep.
And, like, he's come out super excited on the radio. He's like, yeah, great job, guys. I'm really happy with that. So, you know, obviously
I
team.
mean, considering where they were all weekend, it is a good result.
Yeah, getting fifth for them is pretty good. But I do want to talk about McLaren and just how terrible that car was overall this weekend. Because in the wet, it was really good. It was what we've come to expect over the past few weeks. But in the dry, that car was about as bad as it's been for a while.
Here's why I think they clearly prioritized the wet weather setup over.
No, that's
the
what
dry
they've
weather.
said.
Yeah,
that's
sweet.
what they said. They
Cool.
prioritized wet weather setup, and it just turned out to be the wrong move come Sunday.
And you know what though? It was very nearly the right move a number of occasions, and it was the right move on some occasions. So they're in a position where they can take a gamble and risk. I think they would have got better results by being the orthodox team. I think the car's good enough for them to go back to their orthodox thinking of just going, let's follow what the big boys do. They're quick enough now to do that. Maybe that was just a little bit of a, hey, let's take a super gamble here and we might actually win one. So
that's fair. That's a good assumption.
Yeah, it didn't pay off, but as you already brought up earlier, their nearest competitor is 50 plus points behind them. So if there is a time to take a chance, they're safe from below.
No, you're right. Aston is semi-safe at the moment, but they do need to start picking their act up if they want to remain where they are in the Constructors, which we all know is the most important championship at the moment.
It really is for next year, especially when we're developing things. And we're only, second year in, so there's still another 2 years of development before everybody just kind of copies Red Bull for the next couple.
Or even still, it's until 2026 when you've got to redesign your engines in the cars. You know what I mean?
I'm very excited for that. I do think that's going to bring another good bit to the sport, so I'm looking forward to that.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fantastic. Is there any? There's no other big news to talk about. I think, on the whole,
but there's one more thing.
Okay.
Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon, Nico Hulkenberg, Valtteri Bottas, Zhou Guanyu, Yuki Tsunoda, Kevin Magnussen, Logan Sargent, Daniel Ricciardo, and Nick De Vries all have one thing in common right now. Can you take a guess what that is?
Red Bull Junior?
No, they're all out of contention for the 2023 World Championship.
Oh, okay.
All those drivers now cannot win it, even if they won every race. Oscar is the last driver that's still left.
Yeah.
But he'll probably be out next race.
Nah.
Ocon, Stroll, Norris, Sainz, Russell, Leclerc, Hamilton, Fernando, Perez, and Verstappen all mathematically can still win the championship. I say mathematically because we all know Max has already won the championship. It's just a formality.
Yeah, it really is at this point. And so be it. Like Red Bull, Adrian Newey has earned a little period of dominance. He has clearly designed the better car. Despite what you think of Max, I don't think you can be annoyed at what that man has brought to the table these last 2 years.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I'd like him if he, just took his foot off the gas pedal every now and then.
Yeah, or, maybe drop some notes every now and then. Sent an email to the wrong address. Or 19 every now and then. Adrian, come on, bro, slip up.
Mm-hmm.
But I also understand people being annoyed at Max already because we've gone from Red Bull dominance to a Mercedes one, and now we're back to Red Bull. And it doesn't look like there's going to be a mega mix-up anytime soon. So I also understand the frustration that a lot of people have.
That's good. I'm glad you understand it because I'm annoyed at it. Because
you're annoyed at it.
I just want to race. I like racing, and we're just not getting it at the moment.
I'm also a big Max fan, so I don't mind it again. It hasn't worn off for me yet, so that's another part of it. But it will.
It's
now that Danny's back. Once Danny's back in Red Bull, I'll be like, all right, Max, time for Danny to get one.
Yeah,
and after that, Oscar can get the next 12 straight, maybe 6. Just if Oscar can become the greatest of all time, that'd be pretty cool. Just throwing that out there.
He's got a lot to do to beat Max and Lewis at the moment.
Yeah,
and Fernando, who's the real GOAT.
Ooh, there you go. That's something someone's going to tweet about, Andy.
Oh,
That's I think you've managed to tread on everybody's toes, but you're also not
Wrong.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's hard to go past Lewis or Michael.
Or Senna or Prost or all these other people everyone throws out, but you can't compare them because when half of them were racing, they were only doing, 16 races a year, and now they're doing 24.
Yeah, and
And
some
their
of them are
points are
only
worth
going at
more.
like 104 kilometers an hour in the
Exactly.
really early days. Like, no, of course. Is there anything else to bring up about Spa this weekend, or are you happy?
I'm happy with Spa, but I got one more little activity.
Okay, let's do it.
Fair enough. You don't want to sum up Spa in a sentence?
Predictable, but a good time nonetheless.
Fair enough.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, so you're aware of this Formula One movie that's currently being made by Brad Pitt, yeah?
Yeah, Gone in 60 Seconds too.
Or something like that. All I know is production's been suspended because of the strike over in LA with the Writers and Actors Guilds.
Yeah.
So we're not going to see AXGP for the foreseeable future. But I want to put your casting director's hat on, and I'm going to throw out some names, and you're going to cast a Formula One movie.
Okay.
I'm going to start with Michael Massey.
Michael Massey. So am I...
You've got to pick an actor. No, you just got to pick an actor to play Michael Massey.
Oh, okay. Kevin Bacon.
Max Verstappen.
Tom Holland.
I'd have done that one for Piastri, to be honest.
Oh, that's good too.
Fernando. Who plays Fernando?
John Bernthal.
Who plays Lewis?
Who plays Lewis? Michael B. Jordan.
That's a good one.
Yeah, yep. I was going to say Idris Elba. I was like, that's way too old. That's so unfair.
Who plays Pierre?
Daniel Ricciardo.
Who plays Daniel Ricciardo?
Pierre Gasly.
Who plays Otmar Safnauer?
John Goodman.
Who plays Toto Wolff?
Oh. What's his name? Hold on. Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, you're just going to flat out just put Samuel L. Jackson? I would have put the Terminator.
Oh, you know what? Arnold's heaps better. Arnold Schwarzenegger. I couldn't think of anyone who was big and scary. So I thought Samuel L. Jackson would just be funny.
Christian Horner. Who plays Christian?
Robert Downey Jr.
Who plays Helmut Marko?
Andy Serkis in the Gollum outfit.
Fair. Who plays Lawrence Stroll?
Lawrence Stroll.
He's playing himself.
No. We'll go... Oh. Tim Allen.
Who plays Lance?
Okay. That dude in every teen action movie with the horrific eyebrows. You know the one I'm telling you about? Him.
I got
That
one for you for Lance.
Yeah?
You remember Team America?
Yeah?
The puppet for Matt Damon.
Yeah! Yeah, that's good. That's very good.
He just walks in, let's go.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay. Who?
And what would you call this movie?
Gone in 60 Seconds 3, Tokyo Drift.
Fair enough.
That's what I'd call it. What would you call yours?
Sid's Big Day Out. Because I cast Sid the Sloth as Max Verstappen.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Any wrestlers in your lineup?
Yes. Batista as Michael Massey.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Who did I picked Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon.
I think I meant John Hamm, the dude from
Probably.
Mad Men. Yeah, I think I meant John Hamm. You can understand. I got him confused. They're very similar names, themed.
Well, I mean, they both come from the same animal.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so that was a fun activity, man. It's a shame we'll have to do it.
Do a proper one.
A draft for it.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yep, that's what we'll do. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. You can find us everywhere at Formula Bums, except for Twitter, which is at Bums Formula. And if you could, please leave a review on whatever you're listening to us on, if it's an option. That would mean a lot to us as well. We don't normally ask for reviews, but we're starting to grow a little bit, and we want to see if we can build the show again while we're doing well and feeling confident. So if you could leave us a review, that'd be fantastic. And we'll read some of them out.
And also, if you could think of anything to help us create better content on this show, any ideas, questions, queries, statements that make us look bad, tell us on Twitter.
Yeah. Or
and we'll read
Josh.
them out.
Tell them to Josh specifically. He's the host on our other show, Bums on the Bench, but send all the bad stuff to him.
Yeah, anything
deserves
bad,
it.
he wants it.
Yep. All right, well, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Probably like 2 weeks when we do an F2 catch up.
Yeah. Speaking of which, so much F2 to watch.
Yeah, let's get started.
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Bye.